All right, Bimang, today is Thursday. It is November 10th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. My guest today is Eric from Chicago Comics on Clark Street, 3244 to be exact. Eric, thanks for doing this. And when I say
Sure.
Chicago Comics, I mean comic books.
Yes, we're a comic book store.
Comic book store.
Yeah, we're the oldest comic store in the city, actually.
Oldest in the city.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the game?
I've been doing it 31 years.
Okay.
The store's been open for 36 years.
36 years.
Yeah.
So also, I apologize to the people if you're listening and you hear some drilling. There's construction going on right above us, and it's not the best for listening or recording a podcast, I should say.
Yeah.
You ever deal with stuff like this?
Yeah, I actually have construction going on in my building over there. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay. So 36 years the shop's been there.
Yeah.
You've owned it for 31.
Yes.
How'd you get in the game?
Well, I started going to the store as a customer, and then it got to the point where I was buying a lot, and then the guy was buying it from the original owners, and he was having some money issues. So I'm being, not the best investor, said, "Oh, I can loan you some money," and so I loaned him some money. Then I loaned him some more. I'm like, "Hey, let's become partners." Great. And then I found out he was stealing.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we're not partners anymore. Get out. And then I went to the original owners and said, hey, I'll buy the store from you right out. And then, yeah. So it all happened kind of not a cohesive plan. I always joke that I'm the Forrest Gump of comics because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, so.
So did you get into it because you saw it as a business opportunity or because you loved comics?
Kind of both. Yeah, I mean, I kind of got into it realizing that I shouldn't have lent the guy money in the first place, and then I was kind of like, oh, crap. And then literally, one day I'm like, oh, I own a comic store.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's been over 30 years. So.
And so over 30 years.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it? Do you enjoy it?
I'm not that you want details, but I'm a little burnt out.
Are you? No, please. Details would be nice.
I would not recommend it as a business because the market is kind of in a downward slope at the moment.
Okay.
Because the publishing, there's been a shuffling of publishers and distributors, and every time that happens, we lose a little bit of margin. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of I would not recommend it.
Okay, so let's go into the industry a little bit because I found that fascinating. We had a record shop owner on here probably a month or two ago, and that industry has been fascinating. The boom from the 70s to the revival within the last decade or so has been incredible. What has the trends been in the past 30 years since you've been in the game?
Well, boy, oh boy. When I first started, one of the first big things was the death of Superman, which just brought all sorts of crazy attention to the industry. And then it kind of went through a boom, and then a bunch of creators started their own company called Image Comics, a boom, and then it kind of busted, then it boomed again, and it's kind of like booms and busts. And
when you say the death of Superman, excuse my I'm not in the game so much when it comes to superhero. They killed the character off.
It was literally 30 years ago. I think that today is the anniversary of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And DC Comics was like, hey, what can we do? The thing is, in comics, they kill people all the time, but you're like, it's like the movies. He's not dead. They just, he was in a different universe or whatever.
Michael Myers, he comes back every time.
Yeah. So it's kind of that's the joke in comics. And we're at the time, we're like, oh, they're not going to kill Superman, but they actually got rid of him, and it was really well done. Got a lot of media attention. So they killed him off, and of course he came back. Mm-hmm. He got better, and so that happened. That was a huge stimulus for the industry.
Okay, so then the arrow's pointing up when they kill
the
Spider-Man.
arrow's pointing up, and it lasted for a while, and these new publishers, and then it kind of follows the economy to some degree, where it goes up and down. But so it was going up, and then it went down, and then then society changed, and a lot of the people who were reading 30 years ago are older and parents, and don't have time to read anymore. And then the graphic novels came out, and once they started like a graphic novel, they collect like 10 issues of a series and put it in a book, which is a great way to read a story as opposed to trying to get it monthly. So then that happened, and then bookstores started carrying them, and then currently it's kind of cool that we're going through kind of a new generation of younger readers. There's a lot of really great books for like kids out right now, and so yeah, it's kind of cool.
So the graphic novels, basically they're mashing a bunch of comics together and making a book.
Yeah.
Bad for your business.
It not necessarily. We sell a lot, but it's kind of hard to compete with Amazon and stuff like that. And some of the publishers kind of price their stuff for Amazon. So like if I ask for full retail from a customer, sometimes it's like, well, it's less on Amazon, because Amazon's a lot bigger. So it like commoditized it in that it's not as unique anymore.
Gotcha.
But there is a lot. I mean, we have like so much stuff in the store. It's insane. But right now it's a lot of interest from younger kids, like Dogman graphic. I don't know if you've heard of them, but a lot of younger stuff. Also, a lot of manga, which is Japanese comics, are doing great right now. So, and then my favorite thing is back issues, like old comics. I love those. Okay. So much fun.
So what would be considered old? Like what's the old
well,
market?
Depends on like we have people call the store like, I have some really old comics. I've had them since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, but you're 20. Those aren't really that old. We consider old like 70s and earlier.
Yeah.
And comics have been around since the like late 30s.
Okay.
And so yeah, those are really rare.
Because I think that's a common misconception, at least for me. I'm not really a comic book guy. Is that it's only superheroes, right? You think comics, you think Stan Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
But like really, it's like Archie and Veronica, and it's
there's so many varieties. It's funny, back in the heyday of comics, there's superhero stuff, there's mysteries, there's horror, there's cowboys, there's cartoons, there's Looney Tunes. I mean, there's just all these different genres. And now it's kind of like it's even more because a lot of big publishers are like basically financing people to like write their life stories and stuff like that. There's some amazing stuff being published right now.
Now, is that but superhero is the king though, right?
Superhero is the king, but that's the part that's not doing as great at the moment.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me a lot.
Yeah. Because of the movies and all the merchandise and the cartoons and stuff, you would think it would be like booming.
Yeah.
But it's just it's like a counter trend in a way. But it all is based on the good storytelling, and sometimes you have good storytelling and sometimes you don't. So
yeah. But isn't it become a thing where it's more about the cover though, where people want like collect the memorabilia?
Well, there is another trend of variant covers, they call them. And it's basically creating a collectible. Mm-hmm. And we sell them, but we don't promote them. It's just, to us, it seems like you're just slapping a different cover on the same story.
Yeah.
Just to, juice up your sales, sell a few more copies of something. And to me, that doesn't seem, I don't know. I'd rather have a good story than
Gotcha. So you think that's disingenuous to the comic book game?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because I feel like they are saying this is a collectible, and I could be wrong, but 99% of them are not going to be collectibles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's true with a lot of stuff. But if it says it's a collectible, it's usually not a collectible.
Because I was I keep going back to the record shop owner, and Dark Side of the Moon, the album cover, is just as iconic in my mind as the music that's on the album,
Yeah.
So.
But again, it's like, that's an iconic, there are iconic superhero images like that, but they're usually like from famous issues, first appearances and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that.
But now just doing covers just seems, I don't know.
So did there was no movie boom? That's crazy to me that never happened.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't. From my point of view, but Yeah, I think a lot of people don't associate necessarily the comic movies with actual comic books.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh yeah, I know that, but, and we do get some people who like, I want the Black Panther comic or something like that. But yeah, a lot of people I just don't think make the connection. Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is like, a movie comes out and there's a display at Target, there's a display at your supermarket. You can get, Wakanda cookies at, something probably.
Yeah.
But so yeah.
What about The Walking Dead? Was that a big one?
That was a big one. That was great for us.
Yeah.
Again, a little off the beaten path, and a lot of people didn't have knowledge of that. So when that came out, that was fantastic.
Because a lot of people loved the show and they wanted to see if the show was true to the source material.
Yeah. And then another more recent one, there was a cartoon on, I forget which service, called Invincible, which actually happened to be written by the guy who did Walking Dead. And that was also a phenomenon for us. Yeah.
Gotcha. What's like an average comic go for?
Right now they're about $4 for a single issue of a comic. But, there's also oversized issues and graphic novels and all sorts of stuff. So
and so you said it's hard to be, what's the margin issue? You said with the distributor, publisher, what's the big problem with the...
So in the history of distribution, it used to be you would buy your comics from a magazine distributor and you'd rip the covers off of the stuff you didn't sell and sell it back. And you get credit, and the margin wasn't that great. Then somebody came up with the idea in the 70s to distribute comics, but not make them returnable. So like when we, unlike like a book, buying a book from a publisher as a retailer, well, I don't sell it, I send it back. A comic I own. So, so you got to be really careful. So we were getting a certain discount for buying these things non-returnable. But now the distribution is shifted around, so we've lost a bunch of discount because we have different distributors. One of them, which is Random House, which is a huge company, and they're like, we'll ship them to you, but it's gonna, you're gonna cost, this is your discount, and it's like we're just stuck with it. So,
and how many of your customers are like regulars?
It's hard to say. It used to be, that's another diverging trend. It used to be that we had weekly customers, like we still do. We have a lot of them, but that would be like a majority of sales. I'd say now it's not weekly customers it's probably less than half.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you got the diehards who come in every Wednesday when the new stuff comes out and picks it up. But we get a lot of casual.
Is that good or bad? Would you rather have the regulars more often?
I would, it's good and bad. I mean, it'd be nice. I mean, some stores just have regulars, and like other, people who aren't regular customers rarely go in. Mm-hmm. I think it's good to have a diversity of people coming in, but I mean, I'd like more regulars. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about, do you run into the issue many times where people are reading it in the store?
Sometimes, but the thing is, like, a dirty secret is that a lot of this stuff you can probably find it online. Yeah. So if you're just going to want to read it and then not buy it, you could probably do it from your house.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that used to be a problem. But not so much anymore.
So you're not like a stickler. Like, I always remember Borders back in the day.
Yeah.
And Borders no longer exists.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
They just let you read that damn book into the store.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we do, it happens sometimes, but not nearly as much as it used to.
Yeah. So there's not like you don't say, hey, buddy, move it along, or hey, buy it, or
yeah, no.
It's not a library.
Yeah. It ain't a library, kid. But no.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let's take a quick break here from talking about comics to talking about sports. And that starts with going to sporting events, going to concerts, actually, going to comedy shows, going to whatever live events. And that's the Game Time app, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Created by fans for fans, Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, we don't know what you're waiting for. You guys are going to love this app. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, hitting us up on social about the great deals they're getting. Hey, if you're in Chicago, 5 more more chances to go see Justin Fields this season in that offense. Obviously, this Sunday coming up, they play the Lions. We play the Packers at home. We play the Eagles and the Bills at home. And then we end the season at home against the Vikings. Also, this is a national show. Anywhere across the nation, if you want to go watch the NHL, if you want to go see the NBA, if you want to go see the NFL, use the Game Time app, people. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. So go hop on there, download the Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login, and redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's hop back into the interview. What does like a famous person like Kevin Smith do for the comic book game? Has he been to your store?
He has not been to my store. No, he hasn't been to my store, but he's great for the comic industry. Yeah, just definitely. He writes comics. I think he's working on something right now. So yeah, definitely draws attention to it. So yeah, huge positive.
Do you have is it, because that's a thing, right? People will go to these stores and much like a signing of an athlete, they'll go to like a Dick's Sporting Goods and sign their copies of their book and stuff. Do you do pop-ups at your store or no?
We do. We have signings and events and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's funny. We used to do them more, but then COVID happened and that was a disaster. But we'll have creators in to sign stuff. Yeah.
Who's probably the biggest creator you've had?
Oh boy. We had Gwar. That was a while ago. We've had the guy who did Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. We've had, they're really specific comic artists. Alex Ross is a huge one. He's a regular at our store. Mm-hmm. Really well-known comic artist. So,
is there something that worries you the most about the future of comics?
Yes, I worry a lot about a lot of things. My concern is that the periodical comics, which were the bread and butter of our industry, are kind of in decline because it's not a very good way to read a story, because go in each month to pick up one chapter of your story, and then I don't know. It's so much easier to read it all in a book where it's the whole story's there. Yeah. So I worry about that. I worry about kids not being interested. I worry. A big concern is, kids today are all online, and they're not necessarily interested in the physical object. Yeah. Like the comics. So the collector's audience, I feel like, is getting older, and it's not as big a part of a kid's life now because there's so much other stuff out there. My God. Yeah. Right. So
that's true. Like, how do you compete with TikTok?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
What is going to be the?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know.
Because it used to be like someone's dad just kind of passed them down, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What's also happened, which is weird, is that in the industry, so during COVID, a lot of people were stuck at home. So the industry, the old comics kind of had a boom. Mm-hmm. Because guys were, trading comics and, so that kind of had a boom, which it jacked up the prices on the back issues just significantly. But now that things are opened up again, like the back issue prices are coming down. But another thing that's happened is that they do a thing where they put a comic they grade it, professionally grade it. Mm-hmm. So like, this is, Batman, and it's a 5.0 or whatever. So what happens is that kind of commoditized it, and that now it's like an investable asset where you're like, okay, I'm going to buy this comic, and I know the grade because it says right there on the label, and I know it's sold for this and this and this. So it's like just kind of another thing to invest in. But
see, then this surprises me even more that it's not kind of on an upward trend, because with the way the card market has been, and the memorabilia market, it's so big right now. But why have comics not really followed?
The comics have gone up a lot, but I feel like they kind of got ahead of themselves during the pandemic because people, didn't have anything to do. But some comics are still going for astronomical prices. Yeah.
But you're also a purist in the sense of you don't believe in that, right? You believe in the story, you said.
I do believe in the story, but the old comics are fascinating to me because the fact that some of these have survived for 60, 70 years is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But I don't dislike the CGC because I will send stuff to an auction house and have, those CGC and stuff. And,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot easier to sell it because there's no negotiation on.
And CGC means like grade it. And
It's called Comics Guarantee Corp.
Okay.
And they have guys who that's all they do is grade stuff.
Okay.
And when they like come out with a grade, it's like there's no arguing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel like that made it appealing to like just a regular investor, not necessarily a collector.
Gotcha.
So
that's so that is happening, but in your mind, like you said, it's not really. It's like a fake industry in a sense, too.
There's different types of that, like taking the books, the really old books, and putting them in plastic and grading them. I think that's fine, but if you have something that came out like last month and now you're selling it as like this graded collectible, I feel like that market is not.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, it's just made up.
Yeah.
So, but the old stuff, I mean, is just fantastic.
Yeah, because you were just a little behind the curtain here too. You said you came across an Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yes.
And someone is looking to sell it to you.
Yes.
Because your store does buy stuff.
Yeah.
I saw only on Tuesdays though, right?
Well, we're opening that up. We're trying to be more flexible, but Tuesday's usually the day we buy stuff.
The buying day, okay. So how much does an Amazing Spider-Man 1 go for?
Depends on the condition. So the one that this guy wants to sell me is graded at a 3 out of a 1 to 10 scale, so it's kind of low. Mm-hmm. But it is amazing. It's Amazing Spider-Man #1, so it's valuable. It's probably worth around $9,000 or $10,000 in that condition.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
$9,000 or $10,000.
Yeah,
and so you are like, okay, and so in a sense, you turn on your Pawn Stars hat.
Yeah.
And you were texting around. You're like, hey, I need to find a buyer.
Yeah.
Because how many people walk in and are like, hey, I'm looking for this?
It happens. We have some like customers who just want the higher dollar stuff. The other thing too is like, you can always like send it to an auction house or do it on eBay or something.
Yeah.
But it's nice to not park a lot of money into like a single item, as opposed to, it's a lot easier to sell 10 books for $100 each as opposed to one book for $1,000.
Yeah. So what does an Amazing Spider-Man 1 grade 10 grade go for? Do you know?
I have no idea. First, there's I don't even know that there is a 10.
Okay.
But like the highest, there's the Amazing Spider-Man #1, but Spider-Man's first appearance is Amazing Fantasy 15. And one of those sold, was it last year? I think the highest graded one was like over $3 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy that something that old survived in that condition. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But
what's the most valuable comic you've come in contact with?
I had a couple years ago Action Comics #2. Action Comics #1 is the first appearance of Superman. That's the holy grail. Mm-hmm. So I got a copy of #2, which is the second appearance of Superman, which was pretty spectacular, from 1938. And I had that sent it to an auction, and did well.
What did that fetch?
That sold for around 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was not a super high grade. It was kind of like a mid-grade
Mid-grade one?
Yeah.
And now, where did you find that? Someone just came in the store? Or?
I bought that there was a store on Addison called Yesterday's.
Oh, yeah. That place is cool, man.
That place is cool, yeah. And
old school.
Sadly, the owner passed away. I mean, he was not a young guy. So I contacted the people, and I'm like, hey, did he have any comics? I mean, the stuff I saw in the store were like kind of like, eh. So, I contacted them, and then they're like, yeah. So I went over there one day and yeah, they had those and a bunch of other stuff.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit. Well, it was funny because they're showing me this other stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. This is cool. I like it. And
Yeah.
start going in numbers in my head, and then he's like, oh yeah, and we have these, and he pulls out some of these early actions, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. Like, I gotta figure this out.
Did they even know what they had?
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew what he had, but so I was like, I went home, did some math, and I'm like, gave him a number, a nice number, and
fair number, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, let me think about it and call me back like 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Take it.
So how does that work then? So if that Amazing Spider-Man 1, if it flips it to you, and then you'll just kind of you'll kind of be like a middleman, you'll get a middle price there?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I don't know that I'm going to do that particular thing. Sorry, I've been getting some texts, but
You're okay.
I don't know I'm going to do that. Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
If you need to answer a text, you can answer.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to buy that because the seller wants too much for it.
Gotcha.
And it's just not going to be worth it for me to buy it.
Is that pretty typical?
Not necessarily. To be honest, I don't know why people offer me stuff like that. It's like it's a graded comic with a set value, and if sell it yourself, you would probably make more money if you do it right. But yeah, I'm always like, why do you want to sell it to me?
Yeah.
But if people like have a raw comp, I mean, it's a lot of work to grade them and sell them, and a lot of people are I don't know, don't want to do the work.
Don't want to deal with the headache. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eBay's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. It's not a nightmare. It's just a lot of work.
You got to keep the feedback, and like, there's just a lot that goes into it. You got shipping and handling.
And
there's.
Yeah, I had a collection the other day, and it was a large collection, and but just hard to make money on it. And I'm like, I made the guy an offer. I haven't heard back. I'm sure he was insulted. I'm like, I got to be able to make money. That's why I buy stuff.
Yeah.
And you can, put all the work into listing it and selling it and all that, and you will make all the money if you do it right. And you probably still won't sell it for what I'm offering you. But yeah.
That's the Pawn Stars,
Yeah.
If you watch that show, you get the game.
Yeah.
That's probably helped you out a little bit, that show.
It has, but the part of the problem with like some of the comics selling for so much money and stuff is that a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, here, I want to retire, buy my comics. And you're like, these aren't worth anything.
Yeah.
And then it's sad because, either people like don't know what they have or have an inflated idea of what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So, I sarcastically, like when people bring stuff in that I don't want and they leave all sad, and I'm always like, another dream crushed.
Now, was overproducing things a problem?
Yeah, well,
because that was a big problem in the baseball card market.
Yes, that's
In the
part
90s.
of that. The problem is that it's similar to the card market. Is the reason these older comics are so valuable is because people didn't save them like they do now. Nowadays, like everybody, especially started like in the 80s and 90s, everybody started saving everything. So there's just no scarcity of product. The stuff's not rare because 200,000 people each save 5 copies of it, and it's just never going to be.
Yeah.
That people will be like, well, should I just put it away for another year? I'm like, no, it's not gonna. I can guarantee you, barring some sort of weird paper, influenza kind of thing, but I'm like, it's just never gonna go up.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Is there a superhero, like which superhero is the most bankable though? Like that you'll always be able to flip?
Probably Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
As far as the collectibles, Batman also is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, X-Men.
X-Men's huge.
Great. Avengers.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot of them.
What about non-superhero?
Not really collectible so much. It's interesting. Like the non-superhero stuff, it just does not have a very strong collector's market. Because like I said, they used to make like all sorts of Western and Looney Tunes comics and stuff like that. And you can get them like from the 40s and 50s, and it's worth like $5 if you're lucky. But yeah, it's like there was a series called Classics Illustrated, which was illustrating classic literature. The series started in the 40s, and the joke around our store is that like there's 3 guys alive who still collect it.
Really?
I'm joking. It's a joke, but we're like, because it's just nobody's that interested in it.
I like that, the inside comic joke.
Yeah, we're like, and then it was like, oh no, who died? What? But, another aspect of the comic market that's gone berserk is the original art for the comics has gone also skyrocketed in value.
Oh, really?
Because again, when they started making comics in the 30s and 40s, they didn't keep the artwork. So these guys would draw all these amazing things, send it to the printer, and the printer's like, thanks, does his job, literally threw it away. And those pages now are worth, if they were, thousands,
Huge.
tens, 20, hundreds of thousands.
Did Pokemon ever get in the comic game?
Yeah, there were some Pokemon comics, but it was never a big...
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's something I could see doing very strong.
Yeah, a lot of, we did okay with the cards and stuff like that. Yeah, the new cards. But again, that's a whole other collectible market that we don't really dabble in.
Is there like a dark side to the comic book?
What do you mean?
Like, is there like a weird sector of it where it's like there's
all sorts of comics for every kind of thing you could imagine. Yeah. And but again, it was like since the internet came out, there was like a whole genre of like adult, like sex-based comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And all the different things that could go along with that. But then the internet came along, and those aren't really
gone.
Yeah.
Do you like the Simpsons comic book guy? Do you think he's a fair representation?
What's funny is I met Matt Groening once, and there was this other retailer I knew in California, and somebody's like, he didn't tell me this, but somebody else said, no, that comic book character, Matt Groening, shopped at this guy's store, and that's based on him. It's definitely, some dealers are like that. They don't want to be, they're purists, and you can't, like, they won't even I'm not selling T-shirts in my comic store. Why? That dilutes the purity of the product. But
yeah,
it's the people who survived in the industry are usually business people, and the guys who do it. There is a certain sector of the industry that is like fanboys. Their dream is to have a store, and if they have to, eat dog food and sleep in the back, they have a comic store.
Yeah.
But the ones that still around today are usually you have to be an actual business person.
Yeah. I get the vibe. Obviously, you're a business person.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's only been 31 years.
Yes.
I gotta give it some more time.
Exactly. It's it's great. 31 years. Yeah, that's the longest standing Chicago one. But the for love of the game guys. So do you get along with those guys, or are they like, he's
get along with what?
Like the people eating dog food and sitting in the back of the room.
I do, but I feel like.
Or are you the Professor X? Are you the suit? Who was the?
It's funny because I've been doing it so long. People are like, other retailers are like, do think I have like some secret or something, but I don't. I'm just like, no, I just don't want to do anything else. Could argue that I'm just lazy, but no, the guys who are just fanboys, I kind of have a lot of respect for them, because I'm like, I feel like it's not fair in a way to like.
You do or you don't?
I don't.
You don't have a lot of respect for them?
Yeah, because I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, that's not the way to live your life and not the way to run the industry, and it's not conducive to growing the industry and stuff. So
yeah, they're enjoying it though. You know what I mean?
They are, but I don't know. It just makes me sad in a way.
Yeah, but they're that Wolverine picture. They're putting on the Wolverine costume and they're redoing that with the picture.
Yeah.
So that's
God. Yeah, I don't know. But Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you got to be professional.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's professional.
No, I hear you. What's and you also own a bookstore, right?
Yeah.
So is that do you enjoy that venture more than the comic book venture?
No, the bookstore I own is Quimby's Bookstore, 1854 West North Avenue, Chicago.
There you go.
That bookstore is we carry a lot of self-published zines. We probably have the best selection of zines in the country at that store. And we carry some comics there, but not superhero comics, which is kind of
Gotcha.
funny. But yeah, more alternative comics. But yeah, no, they're two separate animals. I like them both. I spend more time at the comic store.
Do you?
Because I joke that whenever I go to my other store, they're like, when are you leaving? How long are you here? Because I have managers at both stores, and I just sort of get in the way.
Yeah. A comic book store and a bookstore. If you had Jeff Bezos in a room, would you just kick his ass?
What's funny is like, yes, but what's funny though is like I cannot argue with his business model.
Yeah.
It is an amazing business model.
Yeah.
It sucks for me, but you got to admit that's crazy good business.
Were you like just? I mean, so how long did you do Quimby's? Like when? How many
I've
years?
owned Quimby's now for 25 years.
So were you just like completely knocked off your fucking skis when this all started happening?
To some extent, I was more mad that like they were getting better deals than we were, kind of, and selling at such discounts.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of like stuck to our knitting and did some, we do some online stuff. But yeah, the thing about us is like, especially at both stores, we have stuff that you cannot find anywhere else.
Yeah.
You can go look all wherever you want. You're not going to find it anywhere else.
And people fucking get tired after the third page of the search anyway. So,
yeah.
It's a little different browsing around the aisles. And
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I don't know where it's going, but, people still like to go to stores. And, you're not going to necessarily stumble across something cool on Amazon because it's not set up that way.
Yeah.
But at our store, you'll see something you never even thought of, and it'll catch your interest. It's not, you can't really duplicate it.
Yeah. No, that's so fascinating that you lived the life where you were in the industry where you went head to head with fucking Jeff Bezos.
I don't know about that, but yeah, but yeah, I think he's doing a little better than I am. Yeah, I only have one yacht. That's not a separate yacht for my helicopter.
It's fucked up, Eric. It's fucked up.
No, that's a joke. If you want to make a small fortune in publishing, start with a large fortune.
What's like your weirdest story from someone walking in the comic book store?
Oh my God. There's been, the problem is we're in Chicago, and half the time our front door is just open. It's not even, we just leave it open because I like the idea that people just kind of wander in.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get the crazy people wander in,
mm-hmm.
and it's, oh my God, they shouldn't be out at all, let alone wandering around my store. Yeah, people just yelling, people threatening me, which is where you're like, okay, you can't sit in my store and preach. Mm-hmm. You can't. Just like, sorry. Yeah. Free speech, that's great, but you can't proselytize in my store. And yeah, and then people are like, you're like, dude, you have obviously not showered in mm-hmm. years, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And then they get all mad and threaten to kill me and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is a couple of years ago. We had this is kind of awful, but I wasn't there. But two women run in the store, run to the back, and are like, "Call the police! We're being chased! Call the police!" And my staff's like, "Wait, what? What's going on?" And then like a group of like 15 kids runs in after them, was chasing them, runs in the store, starts throwing stuff and macing these girls, and it was awful. Just ruined a bunch of stuff. We called the police. Well, we called the police, but they obviously didn't come. But these kids, I don't know how old they were actually, but heard a siren, not necessarily coming to our store, but coming somewhere, and they're like, "Oh shit!" And then they run out, and these two girls are traumatized, and the police come, and it's awful.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The hell was that about?
No idea. It was like, it was by a Pride event. So we don't know. Obviously, these two women got in an altercation or argument with this group of people, and then...
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Terrible. Another time during one of the pub crawls, again, I wasn't at the store. People are walking down the street, and those ones are the ones that started at like 8 a.m. and, by the afternoon, so my guys were in my store, my staff, and they hear something bang up against the window. And they're like, "What the heck?" And then they sort of look, and they see a guy's face get slammed through the window.
Oh.
Somebody like threw a guy, smashed his head right through a window.
Jesus, went right through the fucking Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Edition 4.
And but then the guy whose head got smashed through the window is in the store, and they're talking to him like, "Are you okay?" But he's plastered. He's like, "Oh, I'm okay." And then they're like, "We're going to call the police." And they look back, and then he starts bleeding from his head. But he's like so drunk, he has no idea. And so then we had to get a new window, and the police came, and that was awful.
The joys of Clark Street, working, a couple blocks from Wrigley Field, right?
Yeah.
It
used to be, I have to say, it used to be a lot worse. But we used to stay open later, but now we just
shut it down.
Because we, after a certain point in the day, you're just a holding area for drunk people.
Yeah.
So,
That's true. Well, all right, Eric. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this was I'm a little sad though. You seem disenfranchised with the comic book game.
I've just been doing it so long, and there's parts of it I absolutely love, like buying the old comics. That's what I love doing.
Yeah.
But if I could do that all day, I'd be so happy.
You'd be happy. But the people aspect maybe gets to you.
The what?
The people aspect, dealing with people.
It's not necessarily dealing with people, because like I said, I have staff, so I'm usually not the person at the register. No, the people are fine. It's the business part of it, where it's like I'm dealing with distributors, I'm dealing with suppliers, and I'm like, everybody's raising their prices, and it's a grind. I'm like, that's what's wearing me down.
Fucking Bezos
and his stupid boats.
Bullshit.
Yeah. And how many houses? How many houses does the guy need?
How many does he need? How many does he need?
God.
This is unbelievable. Well,
Yeah.
Go check out Chicago Comic on 3244 Clark Street.
Yeah. Cool.
And Quimby Book.
Quimby's on North Avenue.
North Avenue.
Chicago.
Thank you, Eric. Anything else?
I feel like I've talked a lot.
All right.
No.
I really appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We'll be back on Monday. We will see you then.